It was a weekend that I spent in the Florida Panthers' arch rival building that officially put an end to my college basketball team season in a weekend that also felt like it is the official end of the Florida Panthers season. What's up, Florida Panthers Daily? I am Andrew Sheridan back here with you on a new week, a Monday, March 23rd. I know I wasn't with you on Friday. The allergies, the sickness, it fully caught up to me. I was in bed pretty much all day, and it was just rough. And I needed just a day off. But we are back here on a Monday as we go every single day, Monday through Friday, right here on Florida Panthers Daily, part of the Fan Arch community. That subscribe button below if you want to stay up to date. As now we will look forward to looking at top 10 picks and looking forward to the NHL draft, because this weekend the Calgary Flames, it might have not been the record the Florida Panthers needed or wanted if you were a fan and rooting for a win. So it might be what they needed. But it's exactly what the Florida Panthers fans seem to want. You take care against the Oilers 4-0, and then you come out against the Flames and just have an absolute dud. We'll start with that Oilers game again because I was not able to be here on Friday. Sergei Bobrovsky, was that playoff Bob, or was that playoff Bob? 4-0, the Panthers would beat the Edmonton Oilers. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. We know the chirping that Matthew Tkachuk gave to Leon Draisaitl, who again did not play. He is overseas actually getting looked at by doctors, with Panthers in this one against the Oilers would outshoot them by 23-21. And the Edmonton Oilers were almost more physical than the Florida Panthers. We'll get to where they are in the standings in just a little bit in this episode. But it was another clean game for the Florida Panthers. You had Gustav Forsling as the third star in that one. Again, a defensive masterclass as the Panthers did not give one up, for only 4 penalty minutes aside. So a clean game for the Florida Panthers. But then we got to Friday night where, well, it was, I guess, ugly might be the only word that you could really use to sum up that game against the Calgary Flames to end the road trip for the Florida Panthers. We looked like we spent everything last night and didn't have much in the tank. That was a quote that kind of summarized that one. And then, of course, the sad news coming out of that one, Niko Mikkola getting injured. It looked like a knee injury. I haven't seen any more. That Sam Bennett said, we're a really close group. We all care about each other a lot. You never want to see that. But you got to stick together. When guys go down, other guys have got to step up. Maurice said Mikkola still had to be looked at, but he believes that he was going to miss some time, and we're going to miss him, is what Paul Maurice said about that injury. It was not a fun-looking injury. Nothing with the knee usually is with that knee-to-knee contact. It did not look great for Niko Mikkola in that game. His injury, again, it occurred in the third period with about 7 minutes left, and it was not a good look for Niko Mikkola. The Panthers would go on to lose that game to the Flames 4-1, And then the hit that everyone is talking about, it did land AJ Greer a suspension. That came down yesterday from the NHL. It would be a 3-game suspension for his boarding on Connor Zary. It was nasty. I'm not going to sit here and try and defend anything here on Florida Panthers Daily. It was pretty nasty. I mean, it was up against the boards. You could almost see the intent from AJ Greer. Whether you're watching it in full speed, replay, slow it down into slow-mo, you could fully see the intent into that hit from AJ Greer. And it was almost like you could see the split second where he said, I don't have to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I think a 3-game suspension is fair. Of course, he talked with the league offices over the weekend after that game on Friday. And I think a 3-game suspension is more than fair, if not maybe better. No, not better, but better than what I was maybe expecting. I was expecting maybe a 5-game suspension, whatever the max is, under the CBA. And then again, one last update on Niko Mikkola. Coach did say he is going to miss some time, I believe. So it was a 4-1 loss to Calgary, where the season already seems over. But how about the Florida Panthers? They just can't lose to the Edmonton Oilers. It seems like it's just so fitting that in the middle of all these losses for the Florida Panthers, I mean, you lose to the Flames 4-1. You lose to the Canucks, who are terrible, 5-2. You lose at the Kraken. That was this road trip. And then you go and you beat the Oilers 4-0. Like, how funny is that? And that is just what I wanted to highlight, because you can't really talk too much about all these games. If you are a Florida Panthers fan, there's not much left to talk about at this point, except it's funny. You know they're fighting for playoff position, and sure, Leon Draisaitl might not have played for the Edmonton Oilers, but it is just funny that they seem to have some sort of hatred for a team that maybe is the farthest away in the NHL. And I get why you have the hatred after the last 2 years. But in a year like this, you still used up everything in the tank to beat them in a regular season game like this. When you're in maybe tank mode and you're losing to the Vancouver Canucks 5-2 just 2 nights before, like, that's pretty wild. We'll take a look now at the week ahead for the Florida Panthers. Again, not much to look forward to in a playoff push or anything really of that nature, but again, a lot of Florida Gators fans here following on Florida Panthers Daily. That subscribe button below. You got no basketball to watch anymore. A sad loss for the Florida Gators yesterday. If you are a Gator, I was at those games in the Panthers' arch nemesis Tampa Bay Lightning building. It's not Amalie Arena anymore either. I just learned that this weekend. I already forget the name of it. Benchmark. It's called Benchmark Arena. Had no idea. I thought it was still Amalie. Maybe bring back Amalie, but honestly, I can imagine that place. I'll give them props. Cool stadium. Really cool stadium. I can imagine that place gets rocking. The Panthers, though, do not have any more matchups with the Tampa Bay Lightning this season. This week ahead, Seattle now returns the favor. Panthers were just out there a week from yesterday. And now the Kraken will come in tomorrow. That will be a 7 p.m. start. And then on Thursday, the Minnesota Wild will come to Amerant Bank Arena. That is also a 7 p.m. puck drop. And I want to focus on a little bit more tomorrow about ticket prices. But man, is it funny what winning does, especially in a region like South Florida, because the prices right now, a lot cheaper than they were maybe just a few months ago, a month ago. We'll focus on that. That'll be a segment here on Florida Panthers Daily tomorrow. So make sure you subscribe and tune in tomorrow because we will break down those prices and just maybe the difference from what it was at the beginning of the year. Then to wrap up the weekend, a little Saturday and Sunday matinee up in the Big Apple for the Florida Panthers. It starts on Long Island on Saturday, and then on Sunday they're in the world's most famous arena against the New York Rangers, another team that is not doing too hot. That'll wrap up the rest of this week before we move in to next week with the Florida Panthers with only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 games remaining on this Florida Panthers schedule. Now, you know what I've been doing, and it hurts a little more than ever to do this segment, but during March Madness, again, my team is defending national champions. We still are that for 2 more weeks, but I've been doing a comment section and hanging out with you in the comments, doing a bracket every single day starting last week. And then this week, instead of me giving a different bracket every single day and kind of asking for your comments, we're going to go all week long with a little player bracket. So I'm going to give you 4 players. You're going to advance a player each day. And come Friday, we will crown our Panthers Madness champion. The 4 players I will give you today. And again, when I say this, I'm not necessarily saying favorite. I'm not necessarily saying best. I'm saying expect March Madness. If these players faced Bobrovsky in a shootout, expect some March Madness because I think that's what you would get, and that's what makes it fun because I guarantee you, no one saw the Iowa Hawkeyes taking on the Florida Gators in practically a home game last night. I sure didn't. Not when I bought my ticket to the game. That's it. That's all I'll talk about the Florida Gators again. It was just a sad day for me yesterday. But let's get to our week-long bracket because I'm going to give you 4 guys, and I want you to tell me who you think would advance out of this region in a shootout contest against Sergei Bobrovsky in net. Let's start with Brad Marchand. The Rattlers start with Brad Marchand. We're going to get a defenseman in there. We are going to get Aaron Eggplat in there. And it's funny, when I made my notes and made my spreadsheet on this, I had AJ Greer in this region. And after the news, I debated maybe taking him out. But no, we will leave AJ Greer in there as the third player in this region. And then we're going to go to another defenseman. This is the all-defenseman. Not all-defenseman, but to say all-Americans, the all-defenseman bracket here with this one. Give me Gustav Forsling. Who do you got coming out of that bracket? Let me know in the comments below when you're going down there to do that. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well before we take a look here at the standings in the NHL. Because again, even though the Panthers are not really involved with it, it is still fun to take a look at and see who the Panthers can play spoiler for the rest of the year, especially with some of the rivalries that the Panthers have brewed up over the past few years. Sabres still sitting atop of the Atlantic Division by 4 points, so 2 games over the Lightning, but the Lightning do have 2 games in hand, so you win those games, you're right back in. The Panthers sit at the bottom, tied for the bottom with the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Atlantic Division. Maple Leafs have played 2 more games than the Florida Panthers. You look in the Western Conference, 2 teams already clinching their playoff spot. The Colorado Avalanche with 102 points as we sit here on March 23rd, and the Dallas Stars at 97. I told you we would look at where Edmonton stands because Leon Draisaitl did go down. They still hold that 3rd spot in the Pacific with 77 points. Nashville holds that 2nd wildcard spot in the West with 75. The Kings are looming, so nothing will come easy for Edmonton down the stretch to see if they can avoid missing the playoffs like it looks like the Panthers will. Until tomorrow, Florida Panthers Daily, I am AJ Sheridan. The subscribe button is below. My social medias are AJ Sheridan Radio. Until tomorrow, let's go Cats.